Dana White has provided an update on Conor McGregor's possible return to the UFC following McGregor's comments earlier this week. The Notorious teased that he had been given confirmation for his UFC return, stating it will take place in the summer against Michael Chandler. The two lightweights coached on the last season of The Ultimate Fighter, but the season didn't end up culminating with a fight between the two. At least not yet. Despite McGregor's comments, UFC President Dana White said on the Pound for Pound podcast that they will begin discussions with the Irishman once his press obligations for Roadhouse have concluded. The former two-weight world champion also questioned the lack of communication on the UFC's part, to which Dana White responded.
There's no lack of communication, not at all. You know where Conor is tonight? He's in New York City for the premiere of Roadhouse. He has obligations right now to promote this movie. So he's been flying all over the world, going to all the premieres of this launch of this movie. This is an obligation that he has to do. I don't know what his obligations are once it launches. Then Conor can get back in the gym and start training. So like full time, like getting ready for a camp. Once this is over, he can get back into full-time training, which means from Thursday on, we can start talking about fights for Conor.
Although McGregor mentioned on the MMA Hour that he would have made it work by balancing the movie obligations alongside a fight camp, Dana White claimed that he couldn't do both. 35-year-old last competed under the UFC banner in 2021 when he broke his ankle in round 1 of his third fight with Dustin Poirier. Michael Chandler, on the other hand, has seen similar inactivity, with his last fight also coming against Dustin Poirier 2 years ago, where he lost via third-round submission. The 37-year-old has made it clear that he's been waiting around for McGregor's return and will be hopeful that the Irishman's claims of a summer meeting are accurate. McGregor has completed the most amount of tests of any UFC fighter in 2024 under the UFC anti-doping program, having already submitted 5, more than anyone else in the promotion. As it stands, we are getting closer to a possible McGregor versus Chandler fight, but that remains to be seen. Let us know what you think. Will this fight ever happen? Former heavyweight champ Daniel Cormier has urged people to take Sean Strickland's latest vent regarding his mental health state seriously. DC believes his constant statements about his mental health is a cause of concern.
Sean Strickland is a guy that has a very, very dark past. We all know that. But that dark past has served to make him a world champion fighter and a guy that is willing to go through so much adversity. Said he's rich and still can't get past the hurdles mentally. I want to make sure that we as the consumer treat this in the same manner in which we treated Alexander Volkanovski when he spoke about his issues mentally. Whether you love him or you hate him, we have to look at the human being. Because when Volk said he was in his own head, we all rushed to speak to him, his strength. We need to make sure we do the same thing for Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland, that's a plea for help. So we as the mixed martial arts community should rush to his side again, just like we did for Alexander Volkanovski.
Belal Muhammad has teased something is going to happen soon as he eyes a UFC welterweight title shot against Leon Edwards in the UK. After the announcement of Pereira versus Hill, Dana White claimed that the UFC had offered 3 different opponents to Leon Edwards to headline UFC 300: Islam Makhachev, Shavkat Rakhmonov and Hamza Chimaev, all of which Rocky reportedly accepted without hesitation. Whilst the UFC 300 featured no materials for Edwards, the rumours that the UFC will be returning to Manchester in summer, with fans expecting at least one of the 2 current British champions to headline. Speaking to MMA Today, welterweight contender Belal Muhammad shared that he doesn't buy reports that the UFC offered Edwards either Rakhmonov or Chimaev, with the American also to tease something is going to happen soon as he waits a title shot in Edwards' backyard. Whilst the UFC is expected to return to the UK at some point over the summer schedule, there is expectation that the promotion will be travelling north from their usual London home to Manchester. This is because the brand new Co-op Live Arena is set to open in April, and with a capacity of 23,500 people, it will be the largest indoor arena in the UK. Despite the UK having a growing number of stars who could one day headline such an event, the marquee fight of a UFC Manchester card would most likely include either Tom Aspinall of Muhammad's longtime nemesis Leon Edwards. It's a fight that has been rumoured and speculated on for months at this point, with Belal Muhammad still waiting for confirmation that his next fight will be against Leon Edwards for the welterweight title. Yet, with the UK Fight Night card looming on the UFC's summer schedule, many fans are expecting an announcement regarding Edwards' next defense to be made within the next few weeks, including Muhammad himself.
Bro, if you wouldn't believe how many times I get asked that question. Anywhere I go, like I'll be at the grocery store and I have like an old lady walk up to me like, "When are you fighting for the belt?" But I feel like something's gonna happen soon, right? That I'm staying positive with it. I know that there's rumblings of this Manchester card coming up, so I'm just like, bro, I don't even care where. I don't care location. I just want a contract with his name on it and 5-round title fight, please.
So as we dig into all this, there were these reports came too. In your mind, I know you're staying positive, but how do you rationalize why this fight hasn't materialized yet?
Man, if I'm gonna be honest, I don't really buy the whole we offered him 3 fights. Like, I know they offered it to Islam. I know that Islam turned it down, but I don't buy they offered it to Shavkat because Shavkat was hurt, and I don't buy that they offered it to Kamzat because he ain't making weight. So for me, I think it was more so to hype up the Leon thing, right? To be like, oh, Leon doesn't go on social media. He doesn't do interviews. He doesn't hype himself up. So it's like Dana White's a promoter. He has to promote a guy to be like, yo, this guy's a killer. He said yes to every single fight. But if they really wanted him on 300, they wanted Leon Edwards on 300, they knew they could have called me and I would have said yes. So it just tells me that they didn't really want him on 300, or Leon's a hard guy to deal with. But for me, like, that whole thing was just to hype up Leon and make it seem like he's bigger attraction than it really is.
UFC Hall of Famer Rohonda Rousey has finally addressed her exit from MMA. She mysteriously walked away from fighting after a December 30, 2016 TKO loss to Amanda Nunes and never returned. Although she closed out her career with 2 devastating knockout losses, Rousey never really addressed why she stopped fighting, nor did she even formally announce her retirement. However, more than 7 years after her last MMA fight, Rousey finally shed some light on why she left MMA. My concussion history that I had to keep secret for years, so I would be able to continue to compete and perform. That's basically why I had to retire, Rousey said in an Instagram live stream ahead of the release of her new book, Our Fight. At the peak of her MMA career, the Olympic judo bronze medalist was unbeaten and had defended her UFC title 6 consecutive times. She had also defeated some of the biggest names of her time. However, everything changed for Rousey after her first professional defeat. Rousey, who was seen as an unstoppable force, was viciously knocked out by a Holly Holm head kick in front of 56,000 fans at the UFC 193 in late 2015. She didn't take the loss well. Rousey never fully addressed the defeat and stayed away from the public eye for months. I think that there was just so much to the loss that I couldn't talk about in the form of like an interview or an article or anything like that, or there would be several filters between my words and people reading it, Rousey said regarding why she never spoke about the loss to Holm. So much had to do with having so many concussions when I was in judo before I even got into MMA. I couldn't talk about it at all when I was doing MMA because it would literally put a target on my head and I might not have been allowed to compete any further. Alex Pereira has shared his tips on how to pick up a girl.
Aí, tá vendo? Pô, é bárbaro, não é bárbaro não, pô, tranquilo. Como é que chega numa mina então, dá uma cantada?
Na cantada? Você pode dar, fala pra ela assim, você chega nela e fala assim, caramba, você é a cara da minha primeira namorada. Aí ela vai ficar assim e tal, né, velho? Fala, pô, o cara tá me comparando e tal. Aí ela fala, como assim? Aí você fala, é porque eu nunca namorei.
Thanks for watching. Give us a like. Catch you next time.